Fox Fantasy Sleepers of the Week, brought to you by the Sports Hub.
There you go, Lucas. Hey there. What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back for the Week 16 edition of Fox Fantasy Sleepers of the Week, brought to you by the Sports Hub. My name is Corey, he's Lucas, and we're your Fox Fantasy Insiders.
If you guys have not seen our show before, welcome. This is a show where we talk about daily fantasy sleepers, sometimes redraft sleepers, and our main objective is to win you guys some big money. And what perfect timing to do this. It's Christmas, so Merry Christmas for you guys at home. And hopefully you guys can win some big money from our sleeper picks this week.
That's right, and this week only, we're doing something we haven't done before, and that's airing this show right here on TV. So we're happy to be at your homes on Christmas Day, bringing you some big money picks, hopefully make your Christmas just a little bit sweeter.
Exactly, that's our objective.
That's right. All right, well, we're going to take a look at last week's picks real quick, but before we do that, we're going to hear a quick word from our sponsor, the Sports Hub. All new menu debuting soon here at Sports Hub. Come on in and check out all their daily specials, open for lunch and dinner all week long. They've got homemade pizza, hand-battered fresh fish on Fridays, and so much more. Don't forget to check out brunch from 10 to 1 on Saturdays and Sundays. Whatever it is that you do, make sure to support the Sports Hub because they are the reason why we are here, bringing you our big money picks, and they're what make all of this possible.
Thank you, Sports Hub, once again. Yeah, you guys need to get down here and have a couple beers, have a nice meal, watch some football, watch our sleeper picks perform at the top level, and just enjoy this atmosphere. It's a great place to be. I love this place, and I feel like Corey feels the same way.
Absolutely. All right. Well, hey, Lucas just mentioned us having great sleeper picks. So let's take a look at last week real quick before we get into our picks for Week 16. So bring up the virtual chalkboard. Lucas, why don't you kick us off?
Yeah, all right, we'll get the bad or the not so great out of the way first. We picked Big Ben Roethlisberger last week. Completed 16 of 25 passes for 148 yards. It was a really ugly win that the Steelers had, but luckily Big Ben had that rushing touchdown. Squeaked in there the second time, the second attempt, and he got it done, and those were the majority of his points. But 11 points, not what you were hoping for, but definitely doable for how cheap you got him. A.J. Green was my second pick, came away with 10.4 points. Man, what were the Cardinals doing? We'll talk about that later today, but it was an ugly, ugly loss, but A.J. Green still was fantasy relevant with 8 targets, 4 receptions for 64 yards, so you'll take 10.4 points for any day with that value. And then Gabriel Davis, we both agreed on that last pick, and he blew up. He had 7 targets for 85 yards and 2 touchdowns. Just a massive play, our smash play of the week, and I believe he was wide receiver 2 on the week, right,
Yeah,
Corey?
wide receiver 2, and Lucas and I talked about that leading up to last week's show. We were both just salivating over Gabriel Davis in that matchup, and he delivered in a major way. So
if he's on your waiver wire in redraft leagues, he might not be, but you should scoop him up because I think he's a great play this week.
Absolutely.
As well.
All right, well, good picks, Lucas. Solid week all around. As for my picks, Jimmy G ended with 13.8 points. You know, kind of hard to believe in a game in which the 49ers offense scored over 30 points that Jimmy G was only responsible for 13.8 of it, but they really ran the ball effectively. Jimmy G was super efficient again, broke 200 passing yards again, had a touchdown. So a solid game from Jimmy G all around. Craig bleeping Reynolds,
nice
I should say.
pick, Corey.
15.7 points. He went over 100 yards rushing. This is now, over the last 2 weeks, he has accounted for over 200 yards of offense. He is absolutely the guy. He played the majority of the snaps for the Lions in that backfield. And of course, as Lucas touched on, Gabriel Davis, our both big money pick of the week, finished wide receiver 2 in the Sunday slate. And for those of you who follow this show regularly, you'll notice that our normal measurement isn't on there, which is what we consider slotted value. It's taking a player, where were they slotted in? So Gabriel Davis might have been wide receiver 40 in terms of his value leading into the week. He finished wide receiver 2. That would normally be how we would gauge somebody's success. So he would have been plus 38 slotted value for the week. That's sort of our data analytic side of how we measure our sleeper picks. And because 3 games got shifted to Monday and Tuesday, that whole measurement got all messed up because when we shot this show, at the time we shot it, there were no games that were rescheduled, and by the time the games actually happened, luckily none of our players were impacted.
Right, luckily. But man, you got to note too that we're recording this on a Monday. There's still 4 games that haven't been played yet, so it's a weird week, a weird situation, and a weird world we're living in with all the COVID, and but we're making it happen.
That's right. And this weird world actually led to a week last week, which I deemed the week of the sleeper in daily fantasy. I went through and looked at all the DraftKings finishers, and the top 2 quarterbacks both would have been considered sleepers by our standards. I believe it was Cam Newton and Tyler Huntley. They were both going for under $6,000. The top 5 running backs would have all been sleepers. They were all players who went for, I believe, $5,000 or less on DraftKings. The top 7 wide receivers were all people who would be considered sleepers. Of course, one of them being Gabriel Davis. So a huge week for the sleeper, and obviously we benefited from that with some of our picks as well.
It was a fun one. I mean, a lot of the studs were duds, and a lot of these sleepers got the shine, and it was just fun to see. I always like that.
That's
good
right.
stuff. Even though it messes your fantasy playoffs up, but I'm not mad at all. Don't worry about it.
We're not bitter. Finally, our deep sleeper, Laquan Treadwell, ended with 11.7 points. Not a lot to say there. We've been telling you about this guy for a couple weeks. He is just steady as can be.
Yeah,
he had another steady performance, 6 catches, 57 yards. You continue to take that out of a guy who's going for almost the wide receiver minimum on DraftKings. You might see a little bit more of Laquan Treadwell later in the show. We'll see. So as Lucas mentioned, we're going to get into our picks for Week 16. It is Monday, and so had we shot last week's show on a Monday, we typically shoot it on Thursday, but because of the Christmas week, the accelerated sort of workflow that we have to go through, we were kind of forced to shoot this on a Monday. Had we shot last week on a Monday, it would have been ugly because so many people tested positive for COVID, ended up being ruled out. Games were moved to Monday and Tuesday, which takes them off of the Sunday slate classic format, which is what we focus on for this show. So be aware of that. Be sure to follow us on Twitter at FFinsiders2548. We'll put the little Twitter emblem on the screen for you throughout the show to make sure that you know where to go. And we will continue to keep you guys informed should anything change leading up to kickoff on Saturday is when this show will be airing. So we'll make sure that we find a lot of ways to get in touch with you if things might have to change for our picks, because right now, as it stands on Monday, our picks might look great, but you just never know in today's world.
Yeah, like Corey said, just follow us on Twitter, because there's a strong possibility one of our picks can get COVID, and then it's useless information. So just follow us on Twitter, and we'll be able to update you guys and answer any start and sit 'em questions, and it's just follow us. It's good.
That's right.
We're a good follow.
We are. All right. Well, Lucas.
Yeah,
let's kick it off.
Let's do it.
Christmas week. Let's do it.
All right, so for my first Merry Christmas sleeper, I'm going back to one of our sleeper picks from last week, and I'm choosing Gabriel Davis because he is hot. The Buffalo Bills wide receiver is still cheap, and he's only going for $4,700 on DraftKings and $5,300 on FanDuel. Davis was a huge part of the Bills' offense in their Sunday win, and I think he will keep the hot streak going as he takes on the Patriots in Week 16. Emmanuel Sanders could be back, but it's also possible that they'll keep him out with that knee injury. I think even if Sanders plays, Davis has clearly cemented his role into the offense. Gabe has 4 touchdowns in the last 3 games and has been targeted 19 times. Let's talk about the previous weeks. Week 13, he's had 11 points. 14, he's had 15 points. And then the last week, he's had 25 points. That were a big week that we chose him. And then, we love those numbers. And like I said, I think he keeps his hot streak going. The Patriots defense is tough, but they are known to take out that number 1 option in the offense, and that obviously will be Stephon Diggs. Hopefully this opens up some more opportunities for Davis. Yeah, he's got the juice, he's got the speed and strength to make those big plays. And like I said earlier in the show, if he's on your waiver wire in redraft leagues, scoop him up, because I think he is a good play this week. But yeah, I am just sticking with that hot hand. What do you think?
I love it. And I mean, nice. Gabriel Davis, as Luke said,
cheap.
I think has value regardless of Emmanuel Sanders' status. He is probably their best red zone target at this point.
I think so,
He's where Josh Allen is definitely looking when they get into the red zone. So yeah, I think fire Gabriel Davis up with confidence, even in what would appear to be a little bit of a tougher matchup. Lucas said he's 100% right. What the Patriots try to do is take away your number 1 option, and that's Stephon Diggs, and that leaves opportunities for Gabriel Davis.
Awesome. Who do you got for your first pick, Corey?
All right. Well, for my first pick, I'm going with Drew Lock, quarterback of the Denver Broncos. His DraftKings price is $5,100. And before you laugh, just let me give you some information here. First of all, Bridgewater is expected to definitely miss time. It's Monday. I'm assuming Teddy Bridgewater is not going to play based on the Broncos' current playoff standings and just the nature of that injury. It looked pretty scary. It's the 2nd concussion this year. Very, very unlikely that Bridgewater suits up. Honestly, Drew Lock has been an underrated fantasy quarterback in his starts. In 5 starts in 2019, he averaged 14.2 fantasy points per game. Pretty ho-hum, I know. In 2020, in his 12 starts, he averaged 16.5 fantasy points per game. That's a little bit better, right? For somebody who's going for $5,100, who's the cheapest starting quarterback option, for next week's Sunday slate. That's big production. He's only scored under double-digit points twice in his career in those 17 starts. And over his last 4 starts in 2020, he averaged 19.3 fantasy points per game. So continued to show signs of improvement throughout his, in really the entirety of his 2020 season. And more recently, I'm just looking at last week. In Sunday's game, Denver's offense had 0 red zone trips and 3 total points under Teddy Bridgewater. They had 2 red zone trips and 7 total points under Drew Lock. Of course, they had a terrible fumble from the goal line, I believe, on first down that almost surely would have resulted in another touchdown. So that would have been 2 straight red zone trips and 2 straight touchdowns for that offense under Drew Lock. Just as a viewer and a fan of the Denver Broncos, I saw a team that looked really different with Drew Lock under center. And one thing I know is Drew Lock will make mistakes, but he's more mobile than Teddy, has a bigger arm than Teddy. They'll push the ball down the field a little bit more. If you're a Courtland Sutton owner, you might want to look out. This could be a good week to play Courtland Sutton. Drew Lock and him have had a good connection in the past. And I expect a lot of positive fantasy quarterback output, not necessarily real life quarterback output, but fantasy quarterback output from Drew Lock in this game.
Exactly. We don't care about the NFL quarterback play. We care about the fantasy play. And like Corey said, we're both huge Broncos fans, so I love this pick so much. And we talked a little bit before the show. Man, they were actually slinging it around. Tim Patrick had that receiving touchdown, and it was just like, it was good to see. It wasn't just check down Teddy out there. We love Teddy Bridgewater, but like you said, Drew Lock has a more powerful arm. He can move around a little bit. I like this pick a lot. It's a fun one. And yeah, don't laugh at Corey. It's a good pick.
This is a great matchup. Great matchup against Las Vegas. They're banged up. That defense has really started to sputter.
Not only that, but the value. You got to look at the prices here. So I'm sure not a lot of people are going to do this. So you should hop on this, save some money, buy your studs, and then, put Drew Lock in there.
Use that money elsewhere. Absolutely. All right, guys. Well, those are our first 2 picks for Week 16. We are going to bring you 2 additional picks apiece, as well as a bonus deep sleeper from each of us. We normally give you 1. We're going to give you 2 this week, and we're going to do that as soon as we return from a commercial break. So stick with us, and we'll see you on the second half of the show.
Welcome back, guys, to Fox Fantasy Sleepers of the Week, Week 16 edition. We're already into our picks right now, and we're going to get into our second picks right now. Corey, who do you got?
Let's jump right into it. For my second pick, I am going back to Detroit, and we're going with Craig Reynolds again. If it ain't broke, don't fix it, right? His DraftKings price is only $4,500. I do not understand that, considering his DraftKings price was $4,300 last week after the week he just had. He's had 216 total yards over the last 2 weeks. DeAndre Swift still hadn't returned to practice as of Friday's practice last week, so I don't see a situation where DeAndre Swift is likely to come back in this game, and I don't believe that if Jamal Williams does return, that's going to matter for Craig Reynolds. I think that Craig Reynolds has earned a bigger share of this backfield moving forward, regardless of the status specifically of Jamal Williams. Keep an eye on DeAndre Swift, but I don't think he seems likely to play, and it's a great matchup for Craig Reynolds. He's facing an Atlanta defense that's 24th in points allowed to opposing running backs. Detroit just won a game.
Yeah.
I think they're feeling good about themselves. They did it on the back of Craig Reynolds predominantly.
Yeah.
Fire him up again. I say why not?
This one's cool. I like this a lot. You said it yourself, 216 total yards over the last 2 weeks, and you hit the nail right on the head with the Atlanta defense. We like playing against Atlanta and sometimes even Detroit, but obviously this last week was weird with the Detroit Lions facing the Cardinals, but man, they're going to be fired up. They're going to be ready to go, and Craig Reynolds is hot right now, and I like this pick a lot. And he's still cheap. He's dirt cheap, so jump on him for sure.
That's right. He's starting to become a household name.
Definitely.
All right.
Definitely.
Because of us, clearly, because we're the ones who've been talking about Craig Reynolds for how many weeks now?
Exactly. I don't hear
and everybody's like,
else.
who? All right, Lucas, second pick.
Yeah, for my second pick, I'm going with rookie wide receiver Kedarius Toney for the New York Giants. We've talked about Toney before in the show, so we all know he's an explosive, shifty player and is super fun to watch. However, sadly, he's been super banged up this season. He's had that oblique injury, and then he got COVID-19 recently. We're recording this on Monday, remember, but he should be healthy and ready to go for his Week 16 matchup against the Eagles. Yes, he's been out a ton this year, but when he's active, the team tries their best to get the ball in his hands. We've already seen massive plays and games from him, so we know the talent is there. And we also know that Sterling Shepard suffered a non-contact Achilles injury, so don't expect him to play. So it's time for Toney to step up once again. He's going for $4,900 on DraftKings and $5,300 on FanDuel. I'm just hoping he's ready to go. I know it's so weird picking these players this early, but I'm going to take my chances on a cheap electric player like Kedarius Toney.
Yeah, for sure. And to update on Shepard, Shepard was actually ruled out for the season with a torn Achilles. So I do think that they will push Kedarius Toney probably back. Now, he was, I think, going to play last week, but he fell on the COVID list. Yeah. So obviously it depends on his status there. But with the them peeling back the restrictions on the COVID guidelines, it's a little bit easier to get off that list. So I feel pretty good with saying Kedarius Toney will be back ready to roll. And obviously with Shepard coming out of that offense, that's where Kedarius Toney's biggest games came earlier in the year when Shepard was out. So I love the pick. This is an electric player and a guy who has an unlimited ceiling. Obviously the quarterback situation in New York could be better. But I think he's good enough to succeed in spite of the quarterback play.
I do too. Who do you got for your last pick?
All right, for my last pick, I am going with Tyler Johnson. His DraftKings price is $3,900, and he is going to be a big beneficiary, I think, of the banged-up situation that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are dealing with. Chris Godwin and Mike Evans were ruled out early in Sunday Night Football, making it seem likely that one or both will miss Sunday. Godwin has been ruled out for the rest of the season with a sprained MCL. And Mike Evans had a hamstring injury, which has plagued him for the last couple seasons. So it seems like maybe this is a situation in a game that they should win where they might be conservative with Mike Evans. Leonard Fournette was also banged up. He's expected to miss 1 to 2 weeks. So I think they're going to lean heavier on the pass. And Fournette is the most heavily targeted running back in the NFL this season. A lot of people don't realize that. So when you consider Godwin, Fournette, and potentially Mike Evans, you're opening up 25 to 30 targets in that passing game. Now, Antonio Brown is expected to return and is a great sleeper option. Hear me out on that. He's only $4,900. He was somebody I considered for this, but Tyler Johnson's got a lot of fresh game reps. It's been a while for Antonio Brown, and Carolina's pass defense has sputtered in recent weeks. They do have a couple of good corners, namely Stephon Gilmore, who I think will probably spend a lot of time shadowing Antonio Brown. And so I think they're going to lean a little bit heavier on Gronk and probably Tyler Johnson in this passing offense. There's just so many targets to go around. Even if Mike Evans plays, I think that Tyler Johnson is, I know he's the next man up and a big play guy.
Yeah, he's got to step up. And kudos to you going for Johnson and not Antonio Brown. I like Johnson a lot, and I like the younger players. I always gravitate towards those guys. But yeah, this guy has to step up. Tom Brady is your quarterback, so you know these targets are going to be flying all over the place. It's a good pick, Corey. I like it a lot.
Thank you, Lucas. All right, let's get to your last pick.
All right, so for my last pick, I'm going with Jacobi Meyers for the Patriots. He's going $4,900 on DraftKings and $5,700 on FanDuel. I just overall like the floor with this player. You can always guarantee a handful of targets to go his way, as he's a big part of the offense. He takes on the Bills in Week 16, and though it's a tough defense, Mac Jones has actually been playing pretty solid. He's getting better and better each week, and I think we can all agree that Mac will have to throw the ball to keep up with Josh Allen and the Bills. Jacobi has had only 1 touchdown this year, and Corey and I celebrated that back in Week 10, but hopefully he can get back into the end zone this weekend. I think he's due for another one, Corey. He was targeted 12 times last week and brought in 6 receptions. He came out with a decent 11 points against a tough Indy defense, so I think we'll all agree that's doable. I think he can get rolling in Week 16. Thoughts on Myers? He's probably my least favorite, but
like Gabriel Davis before him, he now ties Gabriel Davis as our leading vote getter on the show with his third career selection now. And you're 100% right. It's a safe floor. What I like about this matchup, obviously, if you're a football fan, you remember that awesome game between the Patriots and the Bills a couple weeks ago in the snow, in the wind, and the Patriots ran 3 pass plays all game. Bill Belichick actually said after the game that, hey, that's going to work in their favor in the next game because the Bills haven't seen anything that the Patriots have done throughout there because they didn't throw the ball in that game. So they're not going to do that again unless the weather goes crazy. Who knows?
Never know.
But they're going to certainly lean heavier on the pass in this game. They have to. And I expect the Bills to be really committed to stopping the run. And it's going to open up opportunities for this pass game. And Jacobi Meyers would seem to be the primary beneficiary of that.
Right. Damian Harris should be back and playing. So, yeah, I agree 100%. But
all right. Well, great pick, Lucas.
Thank you.
All right, folks, those are our sleeper picks for Week 16. We're going to jump to another commercial break, but be sure to stick around because we're going to end this show with 2 bonus deep sleeper picks where we're going really, really down to the bottom of the barrel to help you save some money for your daily fantasy lineups. So stick around and check that out, and we'll see you in a bit. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Week 16 edition of Fox Fantasy Supers of the Week, brought to you by the Sports Hub. We went over our individual picks, and we are here now to bring you your bonus deep sleeper picks to end the show. So without any further ado, Let's get into it, Lucas. Deep sleeper time. Who do you got?
We're going to the bottom of the barrel, and we already talked about the Tampa Bay offense, and we're picking a wide receiver here. I'm going with Scotty Miller, and as Corey mentioned, Mike Evans and Chris Godwin were ruled out early on Sunday night, and because we were recording this so early, we don't know exactly if they will miss. I believe Godwin is expected to miss with a MCL sprain. There it is, open spot right there. With this pick, you can load up on some stud players and then use some chump change for Scotty Miller. He's dirt cheap. He's going for $4,900 on FanDuel. You can do a lot worse than Scotty Miller. And remember, Tom Brady is his quarterback. You saw it last year in the postseason. Scotty Miller is a fast man. And I've mentioned it before on the show. It only takes one play for someone to be fantasy relevant. He's got to step up. Someone's got to step up. And I can see Scotty Miller going deep, catching a bomb from Tom Brady against the Panthers in Week 16.
Yeah, I think there's enough value here for both Tyler Johnson and Scotty Miller.
Dart throw of a play, but it's a deep sleeper, so very cheap.
Yeah, absolutely. Great pick, Lucas.
Thank you. Who do you got for yours?
All right, well, before I get to my deep sleeper, we got to talk about Sports Hub one last time.
Yes.
And so we're going to do that. Make the Sports Hub your game day destination. Bar opens at 10 a.m. Kitchen opens at 11 a.m. They've got $5 bloodies and screwdrivers all Sunday long. Be sure to stop in and register for that Rec Tech Grill on game days. Come on to the Sports Hub on Sundays. Root on your fantasy teams. Coverage here at Fox is pretty expansive this weekend. We have Packers and Browns on Christmas Day at 3:30. And then on Sunday at noon, we have a big matchup with a lot of playoff implications between the Los Angeles Rams and the Minnesota Vikings.
Should be a good one.
We've got some Packer action, some Viking action this upcoming weekend here on Fox. Sports Hub is a great place to come enjoy those games. Ring in the new year with the Sports Hub as well coming up this year. Next time we see you, it's going to be 2022 already?
Yeah, that's the year.
Yeah,
2022.
Unbelievable. All right, guys. Well, we promised you 2 deep sleepers this week, so I'm going to give you mine real quick. You might have heard this name before because for the 3rd straight week, I am going with Laquan Treadwell as my deep sleeper. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Mama, there goes that man again. His DraftKings price is only $3,500. I don't know what DraftKings is doing. They really need to start focusing on Laquan Treadwell in this vaunted Jacksonville Jaguars passing offense because Laquan Treadwell is quietly ripping it up. He had his best fantasy performance last week. He's had 4 straight weeks with at least 4 receptions and at least 50 yards. So 4 straight weeks of double-digit production. He's led Jacksonville in receptions and yards over the last 4 weeks. He's coming off of a season-high 9 targets last week. He's got another very soft matchup against the New York Jets this week. Texans last week, Jets this week. They're going through the gamut and taking care of all the bottom barrel teams. I expect there to be points in this toilet bowl type of affair.
I do too.
So it's going to be a very talked about matchup with Trevor Lawrence taking on Zach Wilson, of course, the number 1 and number 2 overall picks. And Laquan Treadwell has kind of been Trevor Lawrence's guy over the last few weeks. I think there's some positive touchdown regression due here. He's gotten all these targets and he hasn't scored a touchdown yet. And I think Laquan Treadwell finds the end zone in this game and has a big day.
I do too. There's definitely some chemistry there. And like you said, he's steady. He's safe. And it's crazy because his price has not really changed.
No.
He's just remained cheap. I don't know why, but we like it. We like it.
We'll take it. We'll keep firing up in our lineups and using all that extra money on bigger profile names.
Yeah.
And so we can make a lot of money and give ourselves a nice little Christmas bonus.
All right, there's our picks for Week 16. Hope you guys enjoyed our show. Be sure to follow us on Twitter at FFInsiders2548. Have a Merry Christmas and good luck in Week 16.
Fox Fantasy Sleepers of the Week, brought to you by the Sports Hub.